and being really warm and gentle and soft and comforting with people. And I think that is the best way that we can express love for each other. And I also think that it's unfortunately rare, right? Because we see a lot of hate and ugliness in our world. And kindness is a unique way that we each have in our own way of showing love.
Kindness. Generosity, I would say, like giving without expectation of receiving back, basically.
It's like a general acceptance of people and going out of your own bubble to help them with whatever it is that they may need. It's kind of kindness.
So when someone says kindness, what do I think? I think it's how you treat one another without judgment. Yeah, it's kind of a hard one to describe. I think it's like an innate feeling you get when someone talks to you and treats you a certain way. You feel like a sense of love and a sense of acceptance. I think kindness in broad terms for me is like that.
Openness, giving, feeling safe.
Gentleness with joy. I think about the innocence of children, and I think of my wife. It's the kindest person I've ever had the privilege of being so close to. So,
I see a lot of light. I get a light feeling. I think of all the people that have been kind to me, my friends, my family, animals. I mean, human nature is kindness, you know, and it's the way life should be, is kindness.
Gentleness and generosity. I guess kind of being willing to give or to do something that you don't want to do, that you think somebody else needs. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the other night, before I got married here at Burning Man, I lost my group on like my bachelor party and wound up alone and at a bar here, and I was quite depressed and sad that I was by myself, and I shared my story with the bartender there, and he spent the next like 2 hours or so with the bullhorn going outside and calling in people to come and have shots with me for my bachelor party, and I made so many friends and had so many hugs from strangers. It like really touched me. It was a really kind experience.
Let's see, a story of kindness. You know, I get a lot of kindness from my children. I have 3 young children. I have twin 10-year-olds and a 4-year-old, all girls. And, you know, they each have their own unique ways of sharing kindness with me in their own special ways. So I do get kindness from them. I get kindness from, you know, my family, my mom, this particularly. I get kindness from my best friend, Alessandra, who conveniently lives across the street from me, which is really nice.
I think my mom, for me, is the definition of kindness. Everything that she's done in my life for me, I've had like complication surgeries and everything in my life, so she's been always there. And then even at 38 years old, she traveled all the way from Iran to the States to take care of me. So that's pure kindness.
I think, like, when I've had moments where I'm really struggling, especially at Burning Man, having people reach out to me and like say it's normal to feel like this the first couple days, or, you know, not have to say anything and just give a hug, and the sense of empathy, that's like really touched me. Mm-hmm.
But this burn, we got here early, and about 4 days in, I got sick. And it was the complete opposite of what my intention was this year. This year was going to be to play more and to climb everything and to go. And I got sick, and my partner, James, stayed with me. I didn't expect him to, and I certainly didn't even want him to in that sense. but I wasn't totally miserable, but it was dusty and I was sick here and there's just snot coming out of my face. And he stayed with me, he cleaned up camp, he finished setting up, he did all the little things, and I woke up in the morning and things were done, and I still felt terrible, but he was next to me, and it was, especially here when there is so much to do, and even my own intention was to go, that he stayed home with me and like made camp, essentially made home for me.
When you asked that question, the first thought that came to mind was being a child and living in Japan. And I was absolutely astounded with, especially in retrospect, just how much kindness that culture showed us as outsiders living in their homeland. And they were just so wonderful, open. I never felt fear. And it was abundance of kindness.
I would have to say it's probably my friends that brought me here to Burning Man. I was having a really rough time in my life, and she out of the blue called me up and she's like, Jules, she's just like, you need to move back to Bozeman. She's just like, Billings isn't doing it for you. I have a job for you. Can you get up here in 2 weeks? And so she pretty much saved my life.
I feel that I'm very sensitive with people's emotions, so usually I understand what are their feelings and trying to make them feel safe. So that's a general statement that my friend, they always tell me that you're very kind to everyone and very concerned. A particular example could be this morning. There were someone at the sunrise, he was running and he ran from 6 o'clock to all the way to the outer playa, and I offered him water and he was very grateful.
So almost exactly a year ago, my brother passed away, and I always thought I'd know him better in the future and really didn't in the present. And so it took me a while to feel the pain of losing him. But I knew how my mom felt. She cared for him. I knew how his kids felt. And so I feel like my kindness in that situation was being there for them, was letting them tell me their stories, and I felt more sadness for them initially than I did for my brother, and it took time to come around, but being there with his children and their children was the most I could do, and that's...
Me being kind, yeah, actually 2 years ago, a friend of mine was going through like a serious depression, and like I would hang out with him a lot and we would talk a lot, and I knew it was very hard for him to open up to people, and I allowed that to happen. And I think my kindness was because I knew he was attracted to me, but still I tried to manage not combining these two things and let him talk to me and make it like, it was very uncomfortable for me, obviously, but I'm glad we went through that, and I felt really kind, not just to say, you know what, this is not working, go talk to somebody else that you're not attracted to.
I try, I can't think of a specific time. I try and be as kind as I can. I feel like if you just live your life with general acceptance and an interest in people and a smile, if you can live in that way, you are kind, I guess.
I mean, just here in Burning Man, you know, I mean, I'm from Funky Town, and we make sure that we take care of our own and whoever's in our camp. And what we did is we had so much food that we decided to do a pizza party, and I just ran up and down the camp and made sure we were feeding everybody and making sure people that were working hard, like our glass blowers, were getting fed. So I made sure that they stopped and ate. And
as recent as 2 nights before we left for the burn. We were actually getting everything ready, staging it out front of our garage and in the yard. And we live in a very rural area, and just a random person, she was probably mid to late 20s, showed up in our driveway at dark, just out of nowhere, and she was clearly very, very intoxicated and had no idea where she was. It just immediately, instead of being like on guard and super defensive, it was like, this person needs kindness and help. And so nursed her up with some water, gave her some snacks, gave her a jacket and a few essential items before she headed off on her journey, tripping off into the onto the Highway 1 right on the coast. And it was like, well, I think she's going to be all right, but she definitely needed kindness, and I was glad she happened on our doorstep and maybe not somewhere else where it could have turned out differently. Yeah.
Let a lot of negativity that is in their life go. Being kind is being able to forgive, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have some mistakes and some lessons that I've learned throughout my life that it's very hard for me to forgive certain people, but I really think that's one thing is people need to open their hearts to is forgiveness, because that's when you can bring in kindness.
Honestly, I would talk to them and see why that is, because I think there are a bunch of reasons. One is like it's just tough for some people to start the connection so that they open up the channel for kindness. And then I get it, it could be shyness, and then that's a different sort of solution, and you have to just risk the rejection. And the other reason could be that because maybe in them, when they receive kindness, they feel uncomfortable, they feel that they owe something to somebody. And that's why, because of that emotion, they feel that, oh, okay, I can't just give it to a person because they're gonna feel guilty and feel that they owe me something. And then I would just say, just do it, because that's the definition of kindness. You don't have to give anything back.
Let yourself out, don't be afraid to just share yourself with people, and kindness will come. Because people will inevitably give you kindness, and I don't think you can help but change and become that person just from the experience.
Well, first off, I'd say it's normal, because our society has taught us to just be in it for ourselves and maybe close ones, but not anybody else. So I just say it's normal, and I think it takes practice, honestly, just how conditioned we've been. Just one person at a time, one moment at a time. Just always think of the kinder thing you can do in those situations, really. Try not to be overwhelmed.
You have to push yourself, and then I think once you do that, then people will be kind with you, and it's like a channel, energy of channel that is going to flow, and it's just going to become easier and easier. And I think people should not be afraid of rejection when they're kind to people, because that's what it holds people back. And once you feel like it's just a matter of kindness, accept it or not, I'll go for it, then I think it's going to be easier.
I take this lesson from my husband, in that I think you start by being calm. That if you can't sit and listen, that if you are agitated by someone else's energy or sadness or angst or bad trip or whatever you're coming across, if that agitates you, you cannot be kind. And he is so calm all the time, no matter what is going on. And I've never met someone kinder.
I think maybe it starts with finding ways to be kind to yourself. If you can maybe break free from I think a lot of times there's guilt projected on us as we're growing, and sometimes based on the surroundings that we were maybe raised in or the influences around us, we attach and hold on to that, and it makes it hard to be kind to oneself. But really understanding that we all deserve that kindness, and if we can give it to ourselves, it makes it a lot easier to give it to others and to share. And then it comes back in beautiful ways. Yeah.